Hey, it's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon, and today we're talking about cruisers, under 50 feet, the best and the worst. So let's jump in. Let's start by kind of defining the different styles of cabin boats. You've got the Xpress cruiser, which was made popular by the Sea Ray Sundancer, that style. You have the motor yacht, which is usually there's a bridge, but a little bit larger vessel and a lot of salon space. Then you got the trawlers and the tugs, which are designed for traveling long distances at slower speeds. They don't really get up going, but they do have a lot of living space typically. Then you have the hybrids, which have become super popular recently, which are, they have the open area up in the bow, and yet you have cabin space either in the center console or in the midsection of the boat, or they built the deck up a little taller, and the bow isn't as deep, but you have the cabin space under there. And then you have the walk around, which is a more traditional fishing type boat with cabin space in it as well. Those keep getting nicer and nicer. So the popular cabin cruiser manufacturers, just to kind of have a general, you can see all of the ones that that I found. I know there's a bunch more, but this list is almost, I think, 30 or 40 of them. And then if you look, we're going to kind of break it into segments here for the best and the worst. From the 90s to like 2009 was a kind of the break I decided on, because that's when cruisers really started changing. The hybrids started coming out and different options started becoming. But if you look at the Xpress cruisers, if you're looking used, I think Sea Ray is always the top. When you look at this category, they created it. They've been the dominant player. They made a majority of this style of boats from the 90s to about mid 2000s. 2010 is where I broke it. Regal always built a nice Xpress cruiser, and kind of a coupe formula has always been in the mix. Cobalt was in the conversation for a short period of time, but it was a nice boat. They just didn't make very many of them. Chaparral, Four Winds, Monterey, Rinker when they were building, Maxim when they were building, cruisers, yachts. When they first started out, they've gone through a drastic change, I think, in their approach to building boats. Now MarineMax owns them. Wellcraft, Crownline, and Bayliner rounding out. Now, Sea Ray was the top. Bayliner was probably the next largest producer in units. Their Sierra, they've got some models that are very, very popular with people because they've got a lot of space. They were affordable. They allowed them access to this lifestyle. Was it the best built boat? No, it's bottom on my list. But is it a great boat for somebody that's budget conscious and likes the style? I think it can be, and especially now. We'll talk about the used in just a little bit. Then we move into the little bit newer used stuff. Sea Ray still at the top of the list, even though they started slowing down. And in 2018, they really, for all intents and purposes, they stopped building this style of boat. They still build a couple, but they really slowed it down. They changed some of their approaches and their designs. Regal stepped up. Formula, Chaparral, cruisers, yachts, Monterey, Rinker again when they were building during this period, and then Bayliner still on the list. But you can see that list is getting smaller and smaller, right, in that Xpress cruiser category, which was really the biggest during this time. You can see what happened. If you look at the Xpress cruisers in 2005, there were just under 6,000 of them built for $580 million. 2010, right after the recession, the boat industry was building back up, but they were still only at 4,200, but just $1.8 million or 180 million less in revenue on about 2/3 of the number of boats. So the prices were going up, but the units going down. In 2015, 2,400, less than half of what it was just 10 years ago, and the dollar amount down to $228 million. You can see the average price even went down. And if you go to motor yachts, again, a little bit larger, usually has a bridge, 2,800 down to 1,800, back up to 2,200, but still significantly smaller numbers, and the prices went up on the motor yachts. They started adding more technology, pod drives, electronics, flat screen TVs, all of that stuff started kind of making them nicer and nicer, but they were making fewer and fewer and fewer of them. So if you look on the 40 plus side, you may be surprised to learn in 2021, in the boom of the market, just over 300 units sold. That's it. In 20 brands. So very, very segmented with very, very small numbers, with some non-US built boats adding almost 1,000. So some of those other brands are coming into the US. Like I said, most of the boats that people are looking to buy when they talk about buying a cruiser are used. They're buying a pre-owned, you know, in the 90s, the 2000s, 24 to 50 foot, with most of them being under 40 feet if you look at that number. So this is a super popular video that you need to watch. In addition to the brand, I always say what's more important than the brand when you're buying a used boat that's more than 5 to 7 years old is the condition of the actual boat that you're looking at. That's way more important than the brand, because if it was cheaply built, if there was a problem with the brand, well, it's going to show itself, and you need to know where and how to look. So we go into a lot of detail in this video. You can click up on the top right and it'll take you right to it. But what about current manufacturers? Well, we mentioned that the numbers are going down, but also they're getting more segmented. So the cruisers, I had it Xpress cruisers at first, but it's really not accurate. It's cruisers and outboard cruisers, and I kind of broadened that category. Cruiser Yacht, Formula, Intrepid, Jeanneau, Jupiter, Regal, Sea Ray is still making some, and Tiara. Listen, it's they're all different. It's not like there's a homogenous, they make a boat that looks alike. If you were compare all of those boats, they would be drastically different, even in that category that we split it up. Trawlers and tugs, not a ton of those manufacturers out there. There's more than what I have listed, but that gives you an idea of what's being built right now. The hybrids, this category has exploded. A lot of them are center consoles, but some of them, like the Cobalt, the Cruisers, and the Formulas, are bow riders with a cabin, and they do it different ways. I call them, put them in the hybrid category. Tiara does the same, but they're a different style than when I think cruiser in my head, and I think people are searching for cruisers. This isn't the style of boat. This is the new day boat that also has a cabin. The walkarounds, Boston Whaler, Gradient, Pursuit are really the main manufacturers there, and then the motor yachts. You get into motor yachts, you start getting really segmented and really small numbers, right? So Beneteau, Jeanneau has Prestige Lagoon and Monte Carlo. Cruiser Yachts make some up into the 42-foot. Regal makes them into the 42-foot. Sabre Yachts, Tiara also are in that category. I really, and the yachts and motor yachts, that shouldn't have been numbered. That's not a quality ranking by any means. I couldn't separate them into best and worst when you start getting this narrow, because it's really the style. What are you looking for exactly? You know, if you look at the Tiara, the Sabre Yachts, and the Regal, well, those three aren't even comparable boats. You wouldn't, if you were looking at the Regal coupe, you wouldn't be looking at the Tiara. You wouldn't be looking at the Sabre Yachts. So that's what I came up with. Back Cove should have been on the list as well. I don't know how I must have deleted them accidentally. But those are the manufacturers. Check out the used video if you're looking pre-owned. And then really, if you're looking new, it's just a matter of you're going to have to do the search to find the style that you're looking for, and then do a complete inspection. And I recommend a survey. When you look at these bigger boats with all these systems, especially the yachts and motor yachts and the trawlers and tugs, go ahead and invest in a survey to have a professional find any of the issues that are on that boat. And I guarantee there will be issues. Each one's going to be different because they're very, very handmade, but it will save you and make your experience much, much better. Remember, that shakedown period is the first year of the boat's life where you're just fixing ticky-tacky things. So don't plan on buying any cruiser and then taking it out on a big, huge excursion without running the boat for at least a month, if not more, shaking it down, getting to know it, and finding all the issues that need to be addressed before you go on that big journey. Thanks a lot. If you're looking to buy a boat, check out that toolkit. It's totally free, boatbuyerSecretWeapon.com/toolkit. And remember, life truly is better on a boat.